Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Invictus Racing League No Assist Championship. My name is Gareth, otherwise known as Captain Stiff, and yes, tonight we're back with the No Assist Championships. It's round 6 of their championship. We're at 50% distance in the calendar, 6 more races to go after this one, and tonight we're here at the home of British motorsport, Silverstone in Northamptonshire, England. 18 turns, 5.8 kilometres, 3.6 miles, the fourth longest on the calendar. 66% full throttle around the new circuit, of course, the new Arena Grand Prix layout used since 2011. Circuit redesigned in 2009, which brought in a new pit lane start finish, and equally in the loop and the village section, got rid of the old bridge section that we knew and loved throughout the 1990s. The gear changes is around 48 per lap. That's 1624 over the race distance roughly for these guys here. Actually has the longest pit lane on the F1 calendar here, so the guys have to get those cars slowed down to just over, or I believe 30 miles an hour. So coming off that straight on the exit of Stowe, it's a pretty tricky one for those guys to get slowed down in time. So look to see a lot of penalties tonight, possibly. So whoever keeps it in control may be coming away with the race victory. But once again, I invite and would like to thank my co-commentator Sab for joining me in the commentary box. Good evening, Sab.
Good evening. It's good to be here tonight. We're to another race circuit similar to Canada, where the weather is super unpredictable. You're never going to know when it comes to Silverstone what we're going to get. We could have blazing sunshine and absolute storms the next. It's going to be an exciting race tonight. We've got some fantastic drivers fighting at the front. Sam, who's looking mighty at the minute, especially last week in Canada doing what he did. We've got Schofield as well, hopefully wanting to rectify that pit glitch error from last week, and DeLanga, he's back this week. So with a pretty much full lineup tonight, and such a great circuit is Silverstone with the fast flowing corners and Maggots and Beckett's like you've spoke about, it should make a fantastic race.
Yeah, absolutely. The circuit iconic to F1, of course. It's the British Grand Prix, been part of F1 since its inception in 1950. It's raced over several tracks in Britain ever since then, notably Brands Hatch and Donington having taken part. But it is Silverstone that we've been at since 1987, and yeah, like you say, it's an excellent circuit that has some world famous corners, like you say, Maggots, Beckett's, turn 10 all the way to turn 14 on the exit of Chapel, send you down the hanger straight. One of those ones where if you can really get it absolutely perfect, can really slingshot you down turn 14, down that DRS straight. So, but possibly, are there any other tricky parts in the lap that you think the guys will be watching out for tonight, Sab?
I always find the first corner, second corner, third corner quite tricky really early on, especially in qualifying, because if you don't get that right and you put too much power down, you can quite easily lose the car, and you can really compromise yourself going into turns 2 and 3. And again, coming up to turn 3, you can outbrake yourself quite easily there, and then lose so much time going through turns 4 and then down the straight there. It can be really tricky, especially qualifying, because it can compromise you then for the whole of the lap. But again, in the race, it's a battle down there into first corner where everybody's trying to make as much room as can and try and make up some spaces, and there's opportunities for people to touch and get some sneaky places up. It's a tricky first section. This newer part of Silverstone, well, it's not new now, but the newer part of Silverstone where they go around first, second, third. It can be tricky and can make or lose places going on there early on in the race.
Yeah, and it's one of those tracks where, although you have a lot of very fast corners, of course, the second sector you take almost flat out for the majority of it through the exit of Luffield down to Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, through to really down to Stowe and Vale. It's almost at sixth gear or higher, but there are a lot of overtaking opportunities around the lap, and we've seen guys go side by side into Copse, we've seen guys go side by side into places like Brooklands, and so moves can be made. So it's not one of those tracks like with Canada, where you kind of tend to have to find, you have to pick your places when it comes to overtaking. Silverstone, much the reverse of that. You can really throw it in at a lot of different sectors in the race.
Oh, most definitely. It definitely invites attacking style racing and gives people who's chasing another car ahead the opportunity to have a go. Like you said, there's plenty of places around this track, and with the assistance of DRS as well, we should tonight have plenty of overtaking and plenty of action. It should hopefully be a great race.
Yeah, like you say, DRS activated the activation zone just after the loop corner at turn 4, activation just after turn 5, the Wellington straight, all the way down to Brooklands at turn 6, and then equally on the exit of Chapel at turn 14, all the way down to Stowe at turn 15. It's quite a high tyre wear track around here. I find it's the guys who have to be pretty careful on their stops. Of course, the 3 tyre choices they'll have tonight, it's the soft, the yellow wall tyres, the white mediums, and the light blue super hard tyres. So super hards, of course, will last the longest, but I'm not sure about what you think about them, but I tend to find they are incredibly difficult to especially get up to temperature, and then equally they really do slow you down. You don't tend to get that much pace out of them. So I think majority, I think the field will go for the mediums and the soft tyres over the race.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I had a little practice just before we came on air tonight, and I ran these hard tyres, and they're just no good. They don't give you anything at all. They really are difficult. Oh wow! And as I look at that, it's raining, so we'll definitely not be seeing at the moment anyway any dry tyres.
No, absolutely not. And there's your classic British summertime weather there, although looking above the new Silverstone pit area there, you can see a little bit of a break in the cloud, so possibly this rain won't stick with us for the entirety of the session. But for now, it looks like we will be going out on intermediate tyres. So much like we saw in Canada last week with rain interrupting a lot of the qualifying sessions, Silverstone is going to be another tricky one, and especially into that second and third sector with Mackett's and Beckett's. That's where the guys are going to have to be really careful on what's going to be a very slippery track.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's the thing with Silverstone. It could be like this now, and in 5-6 minutes time, we could be running on the dry tyres again. It is really unpredictable. This is going to be a real test for all the drivers out there to make sure they're on the right tyre at the right moment to get the fastest possible lap in qualifying. As we see once again, both the Mercedes coming out in tandem.
Yeah, so the Mercedes, having done this the majority of the races so far this season, they tend to go out together, try and get a banker lap in, and then look to set a faster lap later in the session, but hasn't quite worked out for them the last few races. Of course, last week in Canada, both finishing in 13th and 15th position, so it's not always the right strategy. Of course, they'll be the first ones out on track, so it'll be the track is currently at its wettest, unless that rain gets any heavier. So really, the rest of the field will be looking to these two Mercs to clear a little bit of a drying line through the early stages of this session.
Yeah, definitely, and a lot of guys might be sitting in their cars right now, watching these guys just to see what the conditions are like from these guys' point of view. Is it too wet in certain areas? Is it too dry in certain areas? They'll be really interested to see how these guys get on the intermediates. And like you say, hopefully with them running around, it might move some of this water and make a drier line for some of the other guys. But as we can see, there is quite a lot of guys already going out straight away. So could it be the fact that this is the best conditions we're going to get, and it's going to get worse? We don't know. But at the minute, there's a lot of guys coming out of the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you say, you just can't tell in these conditions. Just on board with Scott, and he's almost lost the rear end there going around Beckett's, and it's into these corners here. Like I was saying, it's turn 9, Copse Corner. You can almost take it flat out in the dry, but in the wet, very much. If you decide to do that, I think you'll be pointing in the wrong direction pretty swiftly. As you see Scott just backing off ever so slightly, giving his teammate Joel F520 a little bit of a break to go up and get a little bit of a gap ahead, so Scott can now put the throttle down into Club 1 and then into Club 2, start off his first flying lap around here. No Assist Championship qualifying session for round 6. As you can see, very tentative around the final corner there for Scott. Now down into Abbey for the first time. Does he lift? He does, ever so carefully, but not too much there, so he doesn't scrub off too much time. Now down into turn 2, round farm, into village at turn 3. Now into the loop section, it's turn 4, tight left-hander, hit the apex, and he runs out ever so slightly, almost drifting out that final corner. Now onto the Wellington straight, it's turn 5, all the way down, blast down towards turn 6 into Brooklands, where we match up with the old track surface. Of course, we've just exited the new track, now we're back onto the old track surface. Now round Luffield at turn 7, you can run out ever so slightly wide there, gives you a nice run into the exit. Now this is the old pit straight, one of my favourite parts down here. You get it full pace, full throttle all the way down into Copse Corner. How brave is he on the throttle? Lifts off quite early, but he's back on the pace ever so quickly. Looks like Joel's gone off up ahead, so his teammate's going to have to get out of the way, and he does nicely. Now let's see, what does Scott do? He knocks it down into 5th. Will he go down even lower? It is down into 4th on the exit there of turn 13. Now into Chapel, turn 14, blasting his way down the Hanger straight. Now it's into Stowe. We're coming into the final 3 corners of the lap. We'll see what Scott's done at the end of this one. It's quite deep into Stowe there, so possibly losing a little bit of time, and now it is into the final 2 corners on. He locks up the 2 front tyres there. Now it's into Club 1. Keep it on the apex, try and get the power on as soon as possible, and Scott is going to come across the line and set a provisional pole time of 1:38.248.
Yeah, I was watching Joel while you was watching Scott there, and he was going pretty well, but then along the old pit straight, you could just see the car just didn't look comfortable, and as he went round that right-hander, it just went completely underneath him, and he was looking to keep it out of the barrier on the right-hand side of the end. So unlucky for Joel, and he proved that it really is tricky conditions out there.
As Scopefielder goes up into provisional second, at the moment he does a 1:38.3, tenth of a second slower. Scott Speed Queen does a 1:38.9. Delanger does a 1:40.8. He's knocked down to 5th place by GP1 Alex, who does a 39.2. Never Misses done a 41.6. So the time's starting to come in thick and fast now. A lot of drivers out on track, as we see. Oh, Phil MCFC's lost it there on trying to see what corner he's on. Looks like
he's just hit the wall just before the old pit entrance. He lost it, went across the grass, front end straight into the wall, and he's heavily damaged the left-hand side of that front wing. I was just on board with him just as he did that, and yeah, I'm surprised. He's got away with it there because he didn't lose a wheel or anything like that, but yeah, he's going to have to definitely come in for a new front wing.
Yeah, Phil there losing the front left portion of his front wing there, of course. In the wet, your downforce and your aerodynamics are pretty much the only thing to keep you on the racetrack, so he will be coming in for a new time. But it's Phil, as Scott sets an even fast time. He does a 1:37.5, so now you can see that drying line starting to appear, although it won't be doing too much. It does give these guys a little bit more grip when it comes to the slower corners and on exit speed, but yeah, Phil, we've seen in the past few races, although he's not been able to translate it to race pace, he's been very quick in qualifying, so possibly in the wet struggling a little bit more, but Phil, definitely one to watch out for in qualifying sessions.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and we've got Scopefielder now. He's just got fast slap. The times are tumbling. He's just done a 37.4, so the times are definitely getting quicker out there. The driving, like you say, is now starting to show. Be interested to see if these guys can go even quicker and get more confidence in this track as it starts to get drier. Will it get drier enough for dry tyres? It's tough to say at the minute. It doesn't look like it's going to get there yet, but we don't know how it's going to play out at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Rain still coming down at Silverstone at the moment as SJD goes around Copse Corner there, runs out ever so slightly wide. We'll see if that's compromised his time. He's now coming into the famous complex between turn 10 and turn 14. Maggots and Beckett's into Chapel, and the SJD Toro Rosso tonight. He's done relatively well recently. He always goes quite well, I find, in the wet conditions, so SJD definitely one to keep an eye on. And one of the things you can do in the wet conditions is really just load the car up with fuel. Of course, you don't have to worry about putting wear on these tyres too much, so you can just put a couple of laps of fuel in, just go out and just see what you can do, get a sighter lap in like what we saw Scopefielder and Scott do, and then use that second lap at pushing a little bit harder.
Yeah, that's definitely what they're doing. And I was just watching Delanga then, and he was doing the same. And at Cops, he did exactly the same as Joel, unlucky for Delanga. Came round and completely lost the car. Luckily for him, not into the barrier, so he was able to recover it. But you can see these guys are really trying to push the limits of this wet track, as Delanga's now coming into pits. He's had enough of those tyres. He's going to probably see if he can do something with the setup as well. But like you say, these guys are probably running longer than you would expect in a qualifying session, just to see if they can get a bit more out of these tyres and get a bit more confidence in the track.
Yeah, and you can see Scopefielder, he's the one that's got the most confidence at the moment out front in on the Red Bull. He's got first position, provisional pole position at 137.4. No, he hasn't. It's Scott that's just done it. He does a 137.5. So he's gone yeah, quite a bit quicker there. So Speed Queen equally. I double check that because I swear that Scopefielder didn't go down, but he's dropped down into third position.
That's gone. Yeah, I don't understand that. Scopefield, something's gone weird there. That's a bit strange.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one as we're on board here with Speed Queen. She pulls to the side to allow what looked like the Renault through, possibly. It may have been Nikki. She's currently in second position at the moment. She's on a 38.2. She's sitting on the front row. So Scott and Speed Queen currently making up the front row of the grid, which is good news for the Tier 1 drivers. They currently sit on 44 points for Speed Queen, 41 points for Scott in first and second in Tier 1, but quite a distance behind Sam in first place in the overall championship. He heads up Tier 2 on 65 points, while Scopefielder sits on 48, so a bit of a gap for these guys to make up if they're going to catch up to Sam.
Yes, and talking of Sam, he's just started his first flying lap. He's left it a bit later than everybody else to test out this track to see what he can do, but it'd be interesting to see how he can do in these tricky conditions. Especially last week, he proved that he's pretty good in wet conditions. Even when he's got front wing damage, he can really hold his own against some of these guys. So it'd be really interesting to see here. He's the man in form at the minute. It'd be interesting to see what he can do on his first flying lap.
Yeah, absolutely. He's taken the last 3 race victories, so he's on for 4 in 6 at the moment. If he does tonight, he would have made it the last 4 in a row, which would be pretty remarkable for Sam in his debut season in Invictus in the Williams. So he's done absolutely spectacularly well. Like you said last week, he managed to keep the guys behind him at bay with a broken front wing after hitting the wall of champions under safety car. So of course last week we did see a lot of action in the Canadian Grand Prix, so make sure you check out the YouTube channel at Invictus Racing League, where you can go back and watch that race. We've got yellow in Sector 1 and Sector 2 at the moment. It's now been cleared, so possibly a car just moving out the way, but Sam now coming down to Stowe for his flying lap, coming up to the final 2 corners. Looking like a pretty tidy lap so far. We've seen him do well in the wet conditions earlier in the season. Can he get himself up towards the front row? Looks like it's going to be slightly slower. He gets across the line. It's only 6th position.
Nicky has just gone fast. I'm not sure what's going off here. It's Nicky's just gone fastest, but he's in P2. I'm not quite sure what's going off there. He's just done a 137.9, but on my screen, I don't know about yours as well, but my screen, Scott is in first with a 137.5, so like you say, we'll have to keep an eye on that. Something's not quite right there, but at the minute as well, I'm just watching Scopefield. He's on his way back out again, hoping to improve and push himself further up at the top and challenge Scott for that pole position.
Yeah, there's several drivers on track at the moment that will be looking to elevate their positions. Of course, you had Delanga, who you said hit the wall earlier. Equally, Phil MCFC, he'll be looking at moving up. They're currently sitting in 10th and 12th places respectively. SJD, he's down in 13th. He's going to look at improving that position, and equally this man was still on board with Sammy Depito, championship leader, still in 7th position. You've got the likes of, well, some very quick drivers ahead, as there you go, Phil moves up into 5th, so good lap there for the McLaren. He does a 38.515, but drivers like GP1 Alex, he's been very impressive in the last few races.
Yes, he has. He's not currently out on track at the minute. You'd like to think he could probably improve on his current lap time. We've Nevermiss has been disqualified from the session. What happened? I don't know what has happened there. Has he gone off the track? I'm not sure. But fortunately for Nevermiss, Sam has got pole position so far.
Yes, so this time it is Sam that goes to the top. He does the 37.477, so that definitely is the fastest lap we've seen this evening. He puts himself up alongside Scott with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the session, so great lap there from the Williams driver. Like we said, he does well in the wet conditions, and he's proved it right once again. And you can see there him doing that fastest lap. That has immediately meant that Scott and Speed Queen have come out on an out lap, so they've thought, you know what, I'm not going to let you have it that easily, because potentially if he gets into the lead, he might do as he's done in the last few races and just drive away from everyone else. So they're out there and they're going to try and combat that Williams and get ahead of him and hopefully hold him back as much as they can in the race.
Yeah, just watching Schofield there. He's improved. He's gone up to 3rd place with a 37.8, and it's proving, like we said earlier, that you stay out for a couple more laps and get your confidence and get the tyres up to temperature, you can get more time out of this track, as Sam has proven. Schofield will probably want him to do the same here. He's improved again. Can he improve again a bit more and get right up to that pole position place? He's looking really fast at the minute, Schofield.
Schofield in 3rd position, 138.813, so he's got a lot of time to make up if he's going to attack his rival for the Tier 2 and overall championship, Sammy Depito, leading at the moment, so Scope's going to have to pull it out of the bag. Equally, his teammate De Lange in the Red Bull, down in 12th position at the moment. He's just exited Luffield, down Woodcote now. He's got quite a gap to make up if he's going to get into the top 10, but we'll look to see what the weather conditions are for the race. But if they are dry conditions, of course everyone will be on brand new dry tyres, so being outside that top 10 does not give you advantage when it comes to the race.
Definitely not. No, De Lange will not be a happy chappy in that car right now. He was missing last week through illness. He's going to want to make sure he can score as maximum points as he possibly can today. And these wet conditions, these tricky conditions, he'll not be happy with. Schofield, as I said earlier, is looking mighty fast. He's just done a 36.996 on his 2nd fastest lap. A fantastic lap there from Schofield.
Yeah, we said he had a lot of time to make up, and he almost took a second out of his time there. So Schofielder going 8.5, 9 tenths faster than his previous fastest lap. So fantastic lap there from Schofielder. And with Sam in the pits, he's not going to go any quicker whatsoever. So Schofielder absolutely bang on there with that lap. And Sam there, he's going to have to contend with possibly the guys around him going any quicker, and they are. Scott goes up into 2nd position, so Sam is going to find himself falling down the order in a track that looks like it's probably going to be its best for setting fast laps.
Yeah, this is could be a bad call from the Williams team here, because Sam could start to see himself fall further and further down this order here, because Speed Queen is currently out there. She's going to be wanting to improve and hopefully push right up with Scope and Scott. And you've also got, well, Nicky's still in the pit stop, but GP1 Alex is out there, and you've got SCD and Philip as well. But if the track is getting better by the second, Sam could find himself from P3 all the way down to possibly P6, which will not be ideal for him at the start of the race.
No, just on board with Speed Queen 80 here as she enters the complex. Maggots and Beckett's all having to really slow that car down. She's got a car in front of her as Nicky retires. He's not going any quicker. He's in 5th position. Speed Queen, she's currently a second slower than her fastest time, so she's going to have to slow down out of this lap, possibly save a little bit of battery, and she's going to go again. She's got 20 seconds to get across the line, so it's going to be close, but she's going to get across. So Speed Queen possibly with time to set one more flying lap. So there's definitely still opportunity for change to happen as Scopefielder still sits there on provisional pole. 136.99, the only one in the 36s at the moment. But Speed Queen, she's got one more lap, and if she's going to get up onto the top row, she really needs to put a good one in now.
Yeah, this is all or nothing now with Speed Queen. Can she make a mark on that top three? Can she? She's got a bit of traffic in front of her. Will they move out of the way, or are they on a hot lap as well? This will not be doing her any favours with the Haas in front. Can't quite see who it was, but yeah, she's not going to be happy seeing that Haas car in front.
No, Renner 9 is the Haas in front. That he's going to be well within her sights, and he's surely going to hold her up, because she looks like she's had way more pace throughout the first sector, and that as she now rounds sector 2, coming towards the end of it. Of course, she's got this final complex at Maggots turn 10 now to contend with, and if she's got a car in front that's disturbing that area, even though we are going slightly slower than we would be, as Renner gets way out of it, and he's gone across the grass, across the gravel, and possibly unsighted Speed Queen, but she's going just under 0.2 of a second faster. So at the moment she would be up into second position, but she's got unless she's going to make up 0.6 of a second, it looks like Scopefielder might be taking pole position. She's the last one to cross the line, as Renner's going to have invalidated that lap, so she's going to come round. Can she get up onto the front row of the grid in the Ferrari in Silverstone? She comes across the line. Where does she come? She doesn't improve. It's only a 6/600ths of a second improvement for Speed Queen. She lost just under 1.5 tenths in that final sector there, so unfortunate for Speed Queen, but she will start on a second row in 4th position.
Fantastic lap from Scopefielder, thoroughly deserved that pole position, with Scott not far behind. Sam in the end, not too bad. It could have been a lot worse. The guys behind him couldn't quite find the pace that the front guys were finding on their second and third lap. So it's set to be a fantastic start to this race, with 3 really fast guys all competing to go into that first corner, hopefully taking the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see, qualifying now coming to a close here. The No Assist Championship with Invictus Racing League, as Speed Queen goes past a little bit of carbon fibre on the inside line there at Copse Corner. And we're going to go to your race, or your qualifying classifications for the British Grand Prix round 6 of our championship. And there you go, Scopefielder, Swedish driver, takes it in the Red Bull with 136.996, the only driver into the 36s tonight. Scott comes in second with Sam in third. Speed Queen comes home in fourth. Joel in 5th alongside Nikki. GP1 Alex, good result there in 7th, with SJD up into 8th. Phil MCFC alongside his teammate Stifler 1980 in the McLarens. Delanger 93 takes 11th, with Renner 9 in 12th. Nizmax is in 13th, and Never Miss unfortunately disqualified from the session, blocking the pit lane exit, so possibly a spin in the pit lane there for De Sauber. So he'll be starting from the back row of the grid heading into the race. And looking at the qualifying results there, of course, we might be seeing a different weather conditions entirely. We'll look to see in 2 seconds time, but who is your money on come the race?
That is a tough one. As we can see there, it's dry weather, so wow, this is going to be really interesting. My money, just based on current form, I'm going to have to side with Sam, just based on current form. He is the one to beat him. Yes, he's in 3rd place, but he's just looking like he's that bit more ahead of everybody at the minute. Can he take this form and grab another win? It remains to be seen, but I think, for me, if I was betting man, I would probably say Sam to take the win tonight.
Yeah, Sam the man high on form, high on confidence coming into round 6, has taken the previous 3 race victories. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight. If you're watching the stream, feel free to drop a comment in. Let us know your predictions for the race. Let us know if you want to see anything, talk about anything. We're more than happy to get engaged. Equally, if you're not already, go to our website, invictusracingleague.com. Check out the league tables for yourself. Go to the sign up page. If you're not already involved in Invictus, get yourself on the grid for the F1 2019 game, which of course has been brought forward to June 21st, and we're looking forward to that very much, coming up very, very shortly. And of course, we're not just racing tonight here in Invictus on Monday nights. We've got Tuesday night, it's the Performance League. It's Realistic Performance 1 and 2. And then on Wednesday night, we have the equal Performance Leagues. We've got F1, F2 and F3. Some of the best racing you'll find anywhere on PS4 on the F1 2018 game. So make sure you go to all of our socials, Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus Racing League on Facebook, where you can speak to any of the admins, any of the mods, and they'll be more than happy to let you know anything about the league. So yeah, it's looking to be an absolutely fantastic race in a beautifully blue skied Silverstone circuit here. And like you say, Sam, he's going to be relishing the opportunity. He's going to have to make it up from 3rd on the grid, and we know the likes of Scott and Speed Queen are pretty tasty around this track, as you see Delanger starting off the grid there. So we'll be going to the formation lap in a few moments, but yeah, we know the guys around are equally as pacey, so it's shaping up to be a pretty fantastic race.
Oh yeah, definitely. I am really intrigued and excited to see what strategies the front runners especially will be going on here. Will they be going for the faster option and trying to pull out a lead and run off into the distance and get onto the slower tyre earlier on and go one stop? It's going to be interesting to see what each of the guys do, as we're just looking now as the formation lap begins.
Yeah, so the scope fielder will lead the field around for the formation lap, and as you were talking about strategy there, of course everyone has free rein to tyre choice because we had a wet qualifying session, and everyone bar SJD and Phil MCFC have gone for the soft compound tyres, so the softest and fastest compound for everyone bar SJD and Phil in 8th and 9th position there. So yeah, it's going to be pace versus pace at the front, and possibly SJD and Phil going for a slightly longer stint. So will be interesting to see if those two can get any moves done earlier in the race. But that's, if anything, has made it more exciting up the front with everyone on equal tyres, and it will be purely on these drivers and their ability to drive around this track.
Yeah, and really thinking about it, it would have been too much of a gamble really for any of the, say, top 5 to have gone on a set of mediums, because they would have been heavily compromised by the guys all around. And if just one, say Sam went onto the mediums with all the others on the softs, he's going to get swamped at the start because the softer tyre is just that much better. It will get you away quicker. He could have lost quite a few places early on. So for me, probably the medium tyre, especially on the front runners, it was too much of a gamble, and it's proven that the soft tyre is the safe option early on.
Yeah, so as you say, you just can't compromise in this sort of scenario where you are leading or towards the front end, and you don't want to give your opponents any quarter when it comes to an advantage, especially on tyres. And even if you have the confidence in your car, you just want to make sure really that you're keeping them behind at all costs. And I think with the likes of championship leader Sam in 3rd position, everyone around him realises that they've got a pretty hard task on their hands to keep him behind. So putting yourselves on those yellow walled soft tyres is probably the best option as Scopefielder rolls around the outside of the cars already on the grid, and he will slowly roll up to P1 as we ready up for the British Grand Prix. Scopefielder in position now. We go to the lights. Everyone in position. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. We're out and we're underway. It's a good start. It's a bad start there for SJD and the Toro Rosso. He's almost collected by the McLaren behind, but it's a great start for the Williams. So from third up into first, Sam has already taken the lead. Fantastic start there for the Williams. It was a slow start from Scopefielder and equally from Scott, but you see everyone cleanly making their way through the first sector here, and the Mercedes moves up past Scopefielder as well. So Scopefielder from pole position is already down into third place, but Sam, an absolute rocket for Scopefielder, going way wide there, trying to get the move back on Scott there, but unfortunately Scott closes the door. He's not going to let that happen too easily, but great start there from Sam.
It's a fantastic start from Sam. I was riding on board with Sam. Scopefielder just got way too much wheel spin at the start. His car just did not move whatsoever. Sam seized the opportunity, went straight down the inside and took full advantage, and then so did Scott, as Sam has just lost the lead to Scott. Great overtake there from Scott heading into Beckett's there, and Sam probably didn't expect that move to happen, and now Scott has taken the lead.
Yeah, so Scott up into the lead of the race and missed that on screen. We were trying to catch up with Nicky, who looked like he was going to try and go to the inside of Renner 9 into Copse Corner. Couldn't quite get it done, but Scopefielder is now looking at the rear end of that Williams coming into Club 1 now, round to Club 2 in the final corner. And Scopefielder now in third position. He's going to be pretty disappointed after that start, as Scott leads the field away after the first lap, but a great start there from Scott. Managed to get past Sam there in a very difficult position. You don't often see that move done at all, but Scott, he's got a lot of practice driving around this circuit. Of course, he does it in real life in his Ford Fiesta, so he's got probably more practice here than anyone else.
Yeah, it was a great opportunistic move there from Scott. I definitely don't think Sam expected that to happen. It really probably caught him off guard, and he'll not be happy under that helmet right now, and he'll want to get that position back. He'll be trying his hardest to catch up to the back of that Mercedes and retake the lead. He's within half a second at the moment. Can he stay within half a second or so until the DRS zones are activated, and then maybe try and get that move retaken?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great start from Scott's teammate Joel P520, although I say that he hits the grass on the exit of Chapel there, and that's going to allow Speed Queen a good run on him down the hanger straight. Does she look to the inside? There's not much room there, but she's going to try and throw it down the inside, but Joel trying to hang it around the outside. Great battle here from these two. Does she try and dive up the inside late? No, she doesn't. She thinks better of it, but Joel's gone nicely there. I thought he was going to go deep, but manages to hold out of it. But yeah, great lap there. Great start from Joel up into fourth position, and doing very well to keep Speed Queen behind. And what that's doing, that's bringing GP1 Alex into play, so the Sauber is now going to be all over the rear end of the Ferrari.
I'm watching. I was watching. There's a great battle for 7th place at the minute. We've got Renner, Nicky, and Philip all fighting for 7th place. They're all side by side. It's some fantastic battling. And Nicky nearly dived down on the inside of turn 3, as Nicky now goes for the overtake and gets the overtake done, heading. And he just about gets the move done, and Renner is now under pressure from Philip. It's been a great battle so far for 7th here. Been fair, but also aggressive as well, and Phillips now smelling blood and seeing if he can make a move on to Renner as they head into Copse, and they're heading down towards Magda Beckett's. Nicky's early on has already picked up a 3-second time penalty, which is not good.
Yeah, that's a very early penalty for Nicky. We caught on board here with Sam, who was going side by side with Scott into into Brooklands Corner, at turn 6. He briefly took the lead, but Scott chopped back in front of the Williams driver, and Scopefielder managing to stay with the 3. So we've got a top 3 slowly breaking away at the moment. Joel's 1.3 seconds back in 4th position. He's got Speed Queen for company, and equally GP1 Alex is slowly being towed around by those. So we've got almost a top 6 in the shot there, but it's going to be very close here between Scott, Scope and Sam. The three S's heading into the village, into the loop section here, but DRS has been activated, so Sam is going to have a good run on Scott down into Brooklyn, so that rear flap is going to open on the Williams. Of course, Mercedes isn't going to have much to say about it as he comes down. Oh, Scott covers inside. Great defending there from the Mercedes driver, but Sam starting to look very racy behind the Mercedes driver.
Isn't it fantastic? All in that one shot, we've seen the top 6 all running so close together. It is absolutely along now the old pit straight. It is fantastic to see such a close early start to this race. Can they keep it up? It's great to see so far. Can we get some overtakes? I mean, they're all running within a second of each other, so they're probably just at the minute cancelling each other out. As Speedqueen just dips the tyre onto the grass there, that won't help her in a pursuit of going after Joel in 4th place as they head down towards Club Corner now.
Yeah, Joel having he's doing very nicely, actually starting to catch the rear end of Scopefielder. So of course Scott is at the biggest disadvantage of the front 6 at the moment. He's the only one that doesn't have DRS, so he's going to be using that battery power, using that fuel as much as possible if he's going to keep the rest at bay. But you can see they're all over the back of him, so Scott having to do all he can, put that Mercedes in all the right places if he's going to maintain the lead of the race. But he's gone deep there into turn 4 at the loop, or into Village, sorry, now into the loop, and Sam's going to go side by side, and he's tagged the rear end of Scott, and Scott's gone around, and then equally Scott's teammate goes into the back of Sam, so the Williams involved there with both Mercedes. And oh, really unfortunate accident there for Scott, who will be absolutely livid with that. And of course, Sam, he's trying to hold on to this position, and it's promoted Scopefielder now up into the lead of the race. Sam is Sam's still in 2nd, but Joel now up into 3rd position. But with wing damage, he's going to have Speedqueen and Alex all over the rear end. Of course, corners like this one at Cops Corner is going to be pretty devastating when it comes to a loss of. You can see, yes, Joel really struggling on to get it around that corner there on full throttle. So yeah, this is a worst case scenario for the Mercedes team.
God, that was such a shame that happened. Really, we were just, it was just building up nicely. We've got yellow in sector 2 as Joel, GP1, Alex and Speedqueen are all fighting here down Hanger Straight, as Speedqueen takes advantage and is now up into 3rd place. She's took full advantage there, and now she'll have her sights firmly set on Sam coming up next. She's just 1.1 seconds behind him in 2nd place.
Now, if you were in Scott's position now, he's down in 10th position, what would you do? Would you stay out on those tyres, or would you come in for a set of the super hard, the blue wall tyres? And although they are slow, you'll be able to get to the end on them. Is it a gamble that's worth doing, or would you just risk getting the moves done on the guys ahead?
It's tough. He's just made a place. He's trying to make a place back up on Nismak at the minute. He'll be absolutely scything at the minute in that Mercedes. He'll be absolutely fuming at what's happened. He'll definitely be wanting to speak to the stewards after this. But for me, I just wouldn't go on those hard tyres. They're so difficult to keep up to temperature. You are losing time on them all the time. And yeah, you might get to the end of the race on them, but how much time will you sacrifice just to get to the end? You might end up just not making enough time back up on the guys. Me personally, I would probably, if he's not got any damage on the car, try and stick with the strategy he's got to keep going. Even if he can, stretch these soft tyres out a little bit longer. Just stay out of as much as you can, and then make the mediums last, and then push hard towards the end. That's probably how I do. I just would not go on the hards at all. They're just not a good race tyre for me.
Yeah, so he's now up into 9th. He managed to dispatch Nismak 7-4, 10th or for 9th position. Now he's now on the rear end of Delanger. It's Joel who's decided that he's going to come in and make a pit stop. He realised that he was losing too much time out there with that broken front wing, and the lack of downforce will really have hurt the Mercedes driver. And does he go onto the hard tyres here, or is it a set of mediums? It's a set of mediums for Joel here, so he's going to look to go 19 laps on those mediums, which will be a bit of a stretch. Of course, very nasty tyre wear around this track. If you're pushing it, of course, you're getting a lot of lateral movement into the tyres going around these fast corners. But Delanger, he's now got Scott for pretty close company at the moment. Does Scott dive to the inside? He does. He's going to look to the inside going into Brooklands, and he gets the move done pretty easily there. So Delanger didn't really have much to fight. He knew that Scott was going to be pretty much a man on a mission after spinning out of the lead after contact with Sam, but Scott now back up into 7th position and only 1.4 seconds behind Phil in 6th.
Yeah, for me, he's doing the right thing now. He's getting his head down, and he's going to try and see if he can make as many places up as he can on these soft tyres before he desperately has to come in. And Sam is going round the outside of Scopefielder, down the inside of Scopefielder. And has he got the move done? No, they're still side by side. Scope and Hinter club corner. They're side by side. Scope, great defending. He's hanging on just as still side by side, and Scope just about hangs on to that lead. Great battling between them two.
Yeah, superb battle for Sam. Those brakes in the Williams glowing orange as he got him slowed down for club corner there. You could see he locked up the front tyres into club, so that's what helped Scopefield to go side by side with him. But these two, they're battling once again, is bringing Speed Queen and Alex into the fray. So the top 4 now all within a second and a half of each other. But Sam, he's gonna have DRS. This time he's gonna have to look around the outside going to Brooklyn. Scope's not gonna give him anything going into the next corner at Luffield, and Sam's got a much better exit out of Luffield here, so there's going to be a good run. But look at Speed Queen, she's going to be all over the rear end of both of them. So the hanger straight with DRS is going to be pretty nice for at the moment. It's going to be Alex that's going to have the best, because he's going to have the drag of 4 cars in front of him.
This is again another great battle at the front. Scopefield is going to have his hands full in a second when the DRS is kicking in. Can he keep Sam and Speed Queen behind? This is not ideal for Scope at all. He could end up losing a couple of places, but at the minute it's Sam who's under pressure, and Sam is just about to be overtaken by Speed Queen round the outside. Can Sam hold? Speed Queen's gone well wide, and Sam defends it well, heading down into club corner. And so far, Speed Queen stays in 3rd.
Yeah, Speed Queen going wide, quite deep into Stowe there. So what that allowed is that allowed Alex the ability to keep in touch with the guys ahead. She got a really good run down the hanger straight, but Sam doing it very nicely, put his car in the right place, just hung her out wide, and he was just going to make it as difficult as possible. As we see a couple of penalties flash up there, look like Nikki and Phil pick up 3 second penalties. So Nikki struggling tonight with the penalties. Sam now right in the gearbox of the Red Bull ahead, so looks like he's going to have a good shot down the Wellington straight down into Brooklands. Does he dive to the inside? No, he backs out of it at the last minute. Scopefielder once again just about maintaining the lead in the Red Bull, but the battle for the lead is not over between the top 4 at all. You can see how close it is. They're almost within a second of each other at the moment.
It's fantastic. I mean, Speed Queen she's just eased off a little bit at the minute as Sam is trying to make a move at Beckett, which is really brave there. Surely he'd be better off to wait until the DRS zone. Now he's got a really good opportunity. Can he take advantage and take first place off Scope? He's dragging along Speed Queen with him. Can they make any move? No, they're just a little bit too far behind. Scope survives for now and keeps the lead for a little bit longer. I thought Sam was coming to pit lane then, but it was just the way my angle was sat. But the top 3 stay the same.
Yeah, look like Sam possibly trying to feign a move into the pit lane. Like you say, they're just possibly trying to catch out Speed Queen and Alex behind and trying to get them off his case. Of course, he's in a position like Speed Queen at the moment where they're having to look in foil, look forwards and backwards at the same time, knowing that as much as they want to get a move done ahead of them, that the slightest mistake could cause someone to scythe up the inside of them. So both Speed Queen and Sam will be hoping that they get a little bit of fresh air. She's got DRS with Sam in front, but equally you can see it's all been pretty much neutralised with the rest of them. So much like how we saw Scott earlier in the session, it's Scopefielder who's the only one there. He's going to be struggling to keep the field behind, the 3 of them behind, all with DRS, and pretty much trading fastest sectors at the moment. You see Sam now 0.2 of a second behind Scopefield. He's going to be very close going into Maggots, but like we said, unless you make an incredibly brave move like we saw from Scott early in the race, you have to really shape it up coming down the hanger straight. As looks like Sam's going to have a really good run on Scope now.
Yes, can he do it now? He's right up the gearbox. He's going to try round the outside scope. Hard defending. Can Sam make the move around the outside? He's side by side with Scope. He will now have the inside line. Scope has pitted. Scope has pitted, and along with GP1 Alex. So Sam, for now, takes lead.
Yeah, so Scopefielder going into the pit lane. He's the first one of the leaders to blank. We've lost Stifler 1980. He's lost it on the exit of Copse Corner there. So Stifler unfortunately ending his race on lap 11. Looks like he lost it on the exit. And we've got a lot of drivers into the pit lane now. So we've got GP1 Alex, Scopefielder, Nicky, Scott and Nismax all into the pit. So they are the first ones. Lap 11 is the looks like the start of the pit window opening. We've got a good battle opening up at the moment between Never Miss 00 and SJD 1988. Never Miss, after unfortunately getting disqualified in the qualifying session. He's going to have what's happened there? He's going off on the grass, and something just must have just broken on Never Miss's car. Surely he just went straight off onto the grass, straight lined Brooklands and straight into the wall there, and it would look like an awful accident for Never Miss. And after what was looking like a really, really good battle with SJD, devastating. It must surely something external and technical has happened for Never Miss, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely gutted with that.
I was unfortunate, did not get to see that, but I was watching the fight at the front. Sam and Speed Queen are both now pitting a lap later after Scope. Can Scope make the undercut work here?
Yeah, this is worked out pretty perfectly for Sam and Speed Queen. Equally Phil, who's going to come in, and I imagine DeLanger any minute now as well, because they of course are pitting under the VSC, which means the field out on track at the moment will be going a much slower speed, so it's going to give these guys in the pit lane a much better chance of getting out in front of everyone else. So pretty perfect timing, and I'm sure Sam and Speed Queen will be thanking Never Miss for the issue that he's obviously just suffered with there, but possibly a little bit of a blessing in disguise for the two leaders.
I didn't realise until you said there was a virtual safety car. That was my bad. So yes, that was really bad time for Scope's perspective, as Speed Queen has come out in front of Scope as well as Sam. So that virtual safety car has really, really gone against Scopefielder there.
Yeah, really gutting there for Scopefielder. You can see how much time he's lost, having to slow down to, of course, that set time under the VSC. He's lost almost 3 seconds to Speed Queen. Of course, he was in the lead of the race, so if in effect, really, he's lost almost 5 seconds, with Sam 1.9 seconds ahead of Speed Queen, and Sam weaving the tyres from side to side coming down the old pit straight into Copse Corner. So obviously not happy with the tyre temperatures in the mediums earlier in this first lap. Of course, it does take a while to get those tyres up to working temperature, but very strange to see a driver waggling the car from side to side, trying to generate a little bit of extra heat into those tyres.
We've also, in 4th place, what you might be able to answer this, what Phil is on the yellow soft tyres. He's coming for the yellow soft tyres. I don't know if he was on the soft tyres from the start, but if he is, it means he's definitely going to have to pit again. But he's going to probably mix it up a bit at the front here now, because it's not going to be easy for Scope to overtake him on the faster tyres. It's going to prove that Phil's probably going to be a thorn in the side of Scopefielder here if he cannot get the overtake done on him, because Phil wanted to make these faster yellow soft tyres work for him and pull a lead at, and whatever strategy he's running hopefully work for him.
Yeah, it was Phil and SJD that started on the medium compounder tyres, so right. Phil coming off those white walled mediums very early, like you say, so he's going to have to run these soft compound tyres 14 laps if he's going to get to the end, so he's going to have to be very gentle on the tyres. And we've got a nice battle currently building between the two Mercedes at the back at the moment, 8th and 9th position, so not where the two Mercs would want to be at all. Of course, they were fighting in the podium positions earlier in the race, but we've seen external problems between the two cause them both to be now fighting outside of the top five. So another disappointing race session for the two Mercedes drivers, of course, after they had a poor one in Canada last week. Equally today, it's not really been the second half, or I say they started the season well, but it's not really been the last 3 or 4 races they were hoping for.
Definitely not. You have to feel for Scott in a way. He was absolutely flying in this race, and unfortunately that incident with Sam has pretty much costing the race tonight, and he'll be hoping to score the maximum amount of points he can, just to limit the damage of what this evening's turning out to be. I've just been watching Phil, as I mentioned earlier. He's now less than half a second behind Speed Queen, and wanted to really put the pressure on Speed Queen, but like you say, he's on these soft tyres early on. He doesn't want to push them too hard early on, because that means later on in the race he's going to have to do some mega tyre management, and he doesn't want to take the life out of him too soon by trying to trade places with Speed Queen. So it's a tough position he's in at the minute, as he's really putting the pressure now on Speed Queen.
Yeah, coming up to turn 10, it almost would be in both their benefits at this point in time for Speed Queen to almost let Phil go, because whereas we've got a yellow in sector 1. Can we see if anyone's dropping down? It's been cleared quickly, so possibly someone running wide in sector 1. But yeah, it's almost a case of Speed Queen should just let Phil go, because his tyres will slowly start to fade. But then when they do go off the cliff, he'll really start to struggle with tyre wear. So he'll have good pace in this first sector. So we'll see. It's only 2.4 seconds to Sam, who's currently effectively leading the race. Of course, SAD still due to make a pit stop in probably a lap or two's time, as Phil, you can see there, hit that curb on the entry of Abbey there, almost speared him wide. But yeah, Phil possibly going to look at closing that gap between himself and Sam for the effective lead of the race. But like we've been saying, it's a pretty hard task if he's going to get these yellow wall tyres to the end of the race.
SJD is probably on the better stretch out, Phil, and than himself, just because he's making his mediums last longer, so he will be able to push harder later on those soft tyres and possibly make up places, because at the minute, I think, with how hard Phil is pushing, I could be wrong, but he could end up seeing those yellow soft tyres just get away from him and slowly start to fall back into the clutches of Speed Queen and Scope, and maybe even GP1 Arts in the race. So hopefully for Phil's sake, his strategy will work throughout the races. Stifler has left the session. I think he was already DNF'd. We've also got Nicky as well in 7th place, putting the pressure on GP1 Arts, just 0.2 of a second, with DRS going down the inside of GP1 Alex's. Now GP1 Alex defends well as they head down to Club Corner.
Yeah, both having done 4 laps on the medium tyres. GP1 Alex locks his front left up heading into Club Corner. It's going to give Nicky the impetus to get the move done. He's been very close over this last lap, hasn't been able to get it done just yet. But of course, Speed Queen's teammate Nicky 9095 did very well in Canada last week. He definitely, when he's on form, can be very impressive, and we've seen he's been a race winner in no assists previously, so he's definitely got the pace to be up there. Unfortunately, sitting in 6th position at the moment, but he's going to have DRS on the Sauber ahead. Does he make a lunge into Brooklands? He's going to be very close. Not quite. He decides against it, but he's looking much more comfortable on these medium tyres, and the two of them only 1.8 seconds away from Scopefielder, and so I'm sure Nicky will be aware that if he can clear this Sauber, he's got a good run at Scopefielder.
Scopefielder's really not having a good second half to this race for his sake. Virtual safety car kind of ruined his. And he's just saying that, he's just picked up a 3-second tyre penalty for multiple warnings now. So he's really struggling on these medium tyres at the minute. He's not made much of an impression on Speed Queen, and he's just sat kind of stuck in fourth place at the minute, and as you say, as Nicky's just overtaken GP1 Alex for fifth place, Nicky now will hopefully want to then make an impression on Schofield. But like I was saying, always down inside, GP1 Alex did not want to give that place up, but Nicky just about held on to it, and Nicky will hopefully then want to make an impression on Schofield, who's at the minute just kind of stuck in fourth place at the minute, not really going anywhere.
Yeah, GP1 Alex there, he thought he had a sniff at coming back up the inside, and Nicky 995 into club corner there, but Nicky shut the door ever so quickly, was not going to allow the Sauber any room whatsoever. Nicky getting the move done down the hanger straight pretty easily there, the Sauber not putting up too much of a fight, so you can see Alex trying to stay in the slipstream of the Ferrari ahead. In fact, Nicky locks up going into Brooklands there, so Alex still able to stay with him, but Nicky's got a 5 tenths of a second gap now, and you can see he's had much better exit out of Luffield compared to Alex there. So he's got Schofield 2.1 seconds up the road, so he's going to have to really put the power down for the next 9 laps if he's going to catch up to the Red Bull and really compound Schofield's disappointing session.
Yeah, it's been really, I feel for Schofield away. He was desperately unlucky last week, and he was looking super racy this week, and just a bit of bad luck with the time in the virtual safety car, and now it's slowly dragging, the win is slowly falling away from him now, unless he can somehow pick the pace up. But at the minute, as far as I can see, he's hovering within the 2.7 seconds from Speed Queen, so at the minute it's just not doing anything really to put Speed Queen under pressure. But looking further ahead, Phil now has the gap between himself and Sam down to 1.3 seconds. Can he keep dropping that time down and put Sam under some sort of pressure for this lead?
Yeah, it's 8 laps left to go in this British Grand Prix, round 6, the Invictus Racing League No Assist Championship. That's a long way to go on those soft compound tyres of Phil, so although he's got down to 1.1 now, he really needs to get a move on and get past, because he's going to be doing a lot of defending from the guys behind him. It's now down to just around a second, so yeah, Phil really needs to get in the shift on if he's going to get up and get past the Williams for the lead of the race, because at the moment Sam would be getting his 4th race victory in a row here in Invictus. And equally SJD, he's come in, he's made a stop. In fact, he just picks up a 3-second time penalty just to give me something else to talk about him with there. But I was just about to say that SJD, he's in a very good position there. He's 1.3 seconds behind Nismak, so he will be very strong in the the final stages of the race. So SJD possibly looking at the Mercedes ahead if he can pick up the pace there, but picking up penalties, that's what will really always Phil pits. There you go, there's the second pit stop for Phil, so he's not going to get to the end on those soft compound tyres. He's decided that he's going to come in and make a stop.
Yeah, that's surprising. That he's coming back out on another set of soft tyres. So clearly he must have just taken so much out of those soft tyres, attacking Speed Queen and trying to gain up on Sam, that they just pretty much gave up on him, which is unfortunate for him, because he was just getting within a second of Sam. So it'd have been interesting to see what he could have done, but clearly those tyres just did not want to give any more performance out. As he's retired from the session. I don't know what's happened there. Phil has retired from the session. I'm watching him coming out of the pit lane, but I didn't see what happened after that.
Yeah, it looks like he almost glitched out of the pit lane now. I was trying to sit on board with the McLaren driver, and the marshals were waving the yellow flag. There was no one to be found coming out of the pit lane, and then he just appeared on track surface. And unfortunately there for Phil, pretty guttingly, he's retired from the race, although looked like he would be struggling towards the back. He'd have a lot of work to do, but really disappointing once again from Phil after a very strong showing early in the race. Just finishing once again with those 3 letters next to your name that you never want to see, DNF.
That really is gutting for him. You'd have fancied him for points, and maybe like 7th, 8th on a fast set of soft tyres, as Renault 9 picks up a 3-second time penalty there. So yeah, that's a strange one how he's ended up DNF. Really bad luck for Phil. It's not been good. It's not been good for him in the McLaren. So hopefully his luck can change next week. We've got Nicky now, just 0.6 of a second behind Scopefielder, dragging along not far behind his GP1 Alex. So Scopefielder, who's now been promoted up to third, thanks through to Phil pitting and that problem, is going to be some real pressure in a moment from 2 cars behind him.
Yeah, we've got 6 laps left in the race. Speed Queen, she's got the gap down to Sam to 2.8 seconds. She's taken 0.5 of a second out of him in the last 2 laps. Will she be able to continue taking time out of the Williams drive to stop him making it 4 in a row? Scott has made his way back up into 6th position, so a little bit of disaster management for him. He's managed to have a little bit of a recovery drive to pick up some decent points in 6th, but I don't think that would be much of a consolation to the Mercedes driver if you'd told him at the start of the race what would have happened. I think he was pretty happy with where he was running. Of course, had that incident with Sam. Of course, we'll look to see if the race stewards take a look at it after the race, but SJD here having another fantastic battle with Nismac 7, the Renault not giving him anything at all, but SJD's superb move there around the outside of Stowe made sure that a Renault could not come back at him, slammed across the front of him. Last lap Nismac's really stuck his nose in, tried to make sure that SJD on this fresh soft compounded tyres couldn't get past, but this time SJD goes around the outside and says, you know what, son, you're not getting back past, this is mine, I'm up into 9th position. And it was a good move for the Toro Rosso.
Nick is putting some mega pressure now on the Scofield's full DRS there. He's really up the gearbox of Scopefield now. Scopefield is going to be under severe pressure. Fortunately for him, GP1 Alex hasn't really been able to follow Nicky along, and he's slowly starting to fall back away from this battle. So at the minute, Scopefield's only got 1 car to defend against, but it's going to have to be some defence as they enter into Beckett's, and Scopefield really is dragging this Ferrari along now. He's going to have to get his defending boots on here going down the hanger straight, because Nicky is going to attack with everything he's got with DRS as he heads down, and he's just a bit too far behind, and Scopefield is surviving for another lap going into Club Corner.
Yeah, Nicky running out onto the dirt on the exit of Chapel there as Sam sets the fastest lap of the race, 1:29.2, so he's realised that Speed Queen was closing the gap, so you can see he's put the hammer down, he's stretched that lead out to 4.2 seconds now, so I think he saw that gap coming down, he saw the Ferrari starting to get a little bit of the smelling blood in the water, if you say, and I think he thought, you know what, we're not having that, just put the power down, turned it up to Ritz, put it up into hot lap, set a fastest lap, and he's moved that up to 4.4 seconds and pretty much a comfortable lead over Speed Queen with 4.5 laps left to go as Nicky tries to round the outside into Brooklands. That's going to turn to the inside, but Scopefield are able to keep that Red Bull slightly ahead, but Nicky's going to get a much better run out of Luffield. They're going to go nose to tail down the old pit straight and into Copse Corner. It's not a corner you tend to see an overtake on all that often. We've seen the cars go side by side. I'm sure you can ask Malk, the F3 commentator and Performance 1 commentator. He tends to love to see a battle side by side into Copse Corner. I'm not sure about you, Sam, but it's the last place on the F1 calendar I'd want to see someone up the inside of me or out the outside of me, but yeah, these guys will definitely do anything to move up a position. I would be extremely uncomfortable seeing a car going up the inside of me there. That is one place you would not expect. Nicky keeping the pressure on Scopefield, but I was just having a look on the race out. The minute both Scopefield and Nicky do have penalties, but Nicky has the more penalties at the minute. So if Nicky was to get the overtake done, which he needs to get done sooner rather than later, he needs to then get the 3-second advantage over Scopefield. So he needs to get this overtake done now and try and stretch the legs of that Ferrari out to keep that third place position, because at the minute as it stands, unless Scopefield gets a couple more penalties, Scopefield has third place in his hands. Yeah, Scopefielder had a poor run there out of turn 5, and it gave Nicky a good run down the Wellington straight, DRS assisted. But once again, it looks like the Red Bull running a slightly quicker aero package here. You can see he's much faster in a straight line compared to that Ferrari. The Ferrari very strong in the corners, but it looks like Scopefielder's got that car switched on pretty nicely on the straights. And what this is doing with these two battling is it's still allowing GP1 Alex and equally Scott. You can see Scott now only 1.2 seconds behind Alex, and then equally now that's only 1.7 seconds behind Nicky. And with Nicky picking up a lot of penalties this evening, this might play into Scott's hands perfectly.
Definitely. Scott, if he can get the move done in the last few laps here on GP1 Alex, Scott could potentially get 4th place here, which would be a great result for him after what happened early on in the race. Yeah, he'd have ideally liked the race win, but if he'd have said he'd have spun out early on in the race and still finished 4th, I think most people on the grid would take that. So Scott probably, like I say, wanted to smell blood and try and take advantage of these penalties and potentially put GP1 Alex under pressure and basically overtake him and try and aim for that 4th place.
Yeah, he's got 3 laps in which to do that. Nicky still half a second behind Scopefielder for the podium position. Of course, Nicky ended up with a podium last race out in Canada, so we'll be looking for another good result here tonight. Scopefielder was actually last race in Canada. He came home 9th after being caught in the pit lane for 90 seconds plus. So Scopefielder dropping down to 9th place after being on the podium every race in the first 4. So he's yet to take a win, but he's had 3 second places and a 3rd place, and so he's kept himself in the championship like that. But his Scopefielder will be disappointed with his race tonight. Of course, was doing so well before that VSC, but now Nicky all over the rear end of the Red Bull, going through Beckett's there and out of Chapel. He's hit the grass once again, but he's much closer to the Red Bull this time. He's tucked right into the gearbox, and Nicky's possibly going to look to go around the outside into Stowe. No, he thinks about it. Is he going to try and cut back underneath him? No, Scopefielder once again putting his car in all the right places. Nicky still struggling to get around that Red Bull. They're still side by side around Club, but yeah, Scopefielder with some pretty masterful defending here.
And not far behind, I was watching the battle with Scott and GP1 Alex. GP1 Alex coming out of cockpits, just clipped the grass and slowed him ever so much down to the point where it's now Scott is putting GP1 Alex under massive pressure now. Just 0.1 of a second behind. Scott is fully on the gearbox of that Sauber as they head into the first DRS. So can Scott make the jump onto GP1 Alex as GP1 Alex is defending, but at the minute it's Scott who's going to take that position, and he's up into 5th place. It was great pressure from him, and he's got 5th place of him. Next up is Scopefielder, Scopefielder and Nicky fighting for 3rd.
Yeah, Scopefielder and Nicky side by side going down the old pit straight here. They were trading positions over Woodcote and Luffield, and they're side by side into Copse Corner. Can they make it around? They just about. Superb driving from those two, fighting over the podium positions, and Nicky cuts across the Red Bull and he makes it up into 3rd place finally with 2 laps left to go. But look who's joined the party, and Scott is going to be all over the back of Scopefielder. So Scopefielder might find that his 3rd position is slowly, well, very rapidly going to become 5th, because they're almost 3 wide into Stowe. Scott is going to try and send it down the inside of Nicky. Well, that move would have come out of absolutely nowhere, but Scope's going to try and come back at Scott, and he does. There's contact between the 3 of them there. They're still banging wheels. Keep it clean, boys. It's doing very nicely so far, but look at this. We've got a 4-car battle on the final lap for the final place on the podium.
Absolutely fantastic. It's hold your breath stuff, and Scott is now trying to make another impression on Scopefielder. I thought they were going to make contact there into Club Corner. There was minimum contact, but not enough to take a chance. Fantastic battle, and this is turning out to be a 1-lap shootout here for 3rd place. It's fantastic.
And Scott now, she's lining up Nikki into Brooklands. He takes the inside line. Nikki's going to have to go around the outside, and Scott gets the move done. Fantastic move from the Mercedes. What a recovery drive from him to get back up into the podium positions. Scopefielder down into 5th position, but possibly will jump back up ahead of Nikki. But he's got GP1 Alex with this, but Nikki's is not done. He wants to get back up into 3rd on track, but Scott, fantastic race from him in the Mercedes tonight. Obviously, this is the best of a worst case scenario. Obviously spun by Sam earlier in the race. In fact, we'll quickly go on board with Sam, find out where he is, and we'll just see he's coming up to the final 2 corners. We know Nicky's going to be closing up to the back of Scott, so we'll try and see if there's going to be anything happening there. But Sam is going to come across the line. He's going to win the British Grand Prix. Speed Queen is going to come across the line 2nd. Scott is looking like he's just about going to hold off the battle of Nicky behind. Scott's going to come across the line in 3rd. Does that change? Nicky drops down behind Schofield, but it's GP1 Alex that takes 3rd position on penalties. So superbly done there from the Sauber to stay in contention, and that's one person we were not talking about for a podium position there. So what a result from GP1 Alex.
Fantastic. He kept himself in the hunt. He kept himself on the track. No penalties, not enough penalties to drop him down, and he's nicked that 3rd place. Fantastic battle at the end for 3rd place between those 4 drivers, but congratulations to Sam. That's 4 wins in a row. The guy is looking untouchable at the minute.
Yeah, Samuel the Fitto, his 4th race victory. Japan, Austria, Canada, and now he ticks off Great Britain, Silverstone, and he ends the first half of the season in unstoppable form, and the Williams team will be absolutely delighted with his early season form, and they take another good step towards the Constructors' Championship. And there you see the final classifications for the British Grand Prix. Sam the Pitto takes the race victory, no penalties. He takes it in 39 minutes and 54 seconds. Speakwin in 2nd, with GP1 Alex really nicely done there up in 3rd. Scott dropped down after a fantastic recovery drive into 4th position. Scopefielder in 5th. Nicky dropped down to 6th with Nismax 7 in 7th. Delanger held it in 8th. Joe V520 will be disappointed down in 9th. SJD unfortunately down in 10th position. Renner was in 11th. Phil MCFC never miss, and Stifler all retired earlier in the session in what was an absolutely fantastic British Grand Prix.
That for me was absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love it, especially that last few laps. That battle for 3rd place was absolutely brilliant. Nobody took each other out. It was pure aggressive, hard racing, and we got an absolute 1-lap wonder right at the end there. And like you say, we wouldn't have probably predicted out GP1 Alex to get 3rd place, but congratulations to him on a great podium finish there for him.
Yeah, Hanny says in the comments, didn't expect that, and no, neither did we, Alex. We thought Scott had that come back there, but fantastic result from yourself there to come back and claim a podium position, and another superb race, much the same as that you had in Canada, in Austria. So yeah, fantastic result there for GP1 Alex, but there are not enough superlatives we can say about Samuel the Pitto, who took his 4th race victory. But equally, Speed Queen should be delighted to be back up in 2nd position. That's another decent points haul, which will help her in her Tier 1 Championship fight as she makes quite a big gain over Scott, who unfortunately drops to 4th position.
Yeah, Speed Queen, compared to the rest of the race, had a very quiet race. Really, she wasn't really noticed much, but she got her head down. She did what she does best, and picked up yet another podium in her great career in Invictus at the minute. So yeah, fantastic result for her to come across the line in 2nd. But like you say, Sam is just out of this world. I mean, I hope we'll see if there's anything that comes out of the incident with him and Scott with the stewards. But at the minute, there's only one man for this championship at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam really wowing the grid tonight. Really decent result for him, and both him and Speed Queen. Speed Queen leads tier 1, Sam leads tier 2. Both of them are yet to finish any lower than 4th position in any race so far this season. So it's supreme consistency for the both of them. So congratulations to Sam, congratulations to Speed Queen and GP1 Alex for picking up a podium position, and that is 50% of the Invictus Racing League no assist calendar done. We are now taking a 1 week break, so we will not be racing next week. The guys will have a little bit of time to reflect on the first half of the season before we kickstart the second half of the season in Shanghai, China for round 7. So make sure, like I said before, go to the socials, Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus Racing League on Facebook, or go to the website invictusracingleagues.com, where you can find all the dates for the rest of the leagues. Make sure you check out tomorrow's streams, Performance 1, Performance 2, and then on Wednesday, Equal Performance F1, F2 and F3, where you can find Sab and I racing around in F3 and trying to keep it on track, much like Sam did today. But thank you very much, Sab, for joining me. If you've got any closing thoughts about the race tonight?
The only thing I could say is it was absolutely fantastic. Probably my favourite race so far to commentate on this season. Sam looking absolutely untouchable at the moment, and the rest of the field was an absolute delight to watch. Some great battling throughout.
Absolutely, and yeah, I can only echo that. Superb racing from everyone so far this season. We've seen some absolutely fantastic races so far in the No Assist Championship, and it's really, really showing to be a really fun racing championship at the moment. And so congratulations to all the drivers, and equally thank you for everyone watching the stream, and equally for following. You've got us to 50 followers, in fact 50 plus now, so we are almost there to get Twitch affiliated. So thank you very much. It means a lot to us for getting this sorted, and we're glad that we can bring you this entertainment every Monday night. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure with joining you, Sab, in the box, and hopefully we will see you all in China, in Shanghai, on the 15th of April in 2 weeks' time for round 7 of the Invictus Racing League. So make sure you enjoy your week off, guys, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.